Good morning, all. Thank you for being here. My name is Joseph Valerio. I am our program director at the AVIXA Foundation. So if you knew we had one, good for you. We are here to kind of showcase that today for you, but also more than anything, we've brought colleagues of yours and the industry professionals to talk about how we can really build our workforce and how we can develop those toolkits for you and things you can leave hopefully in the next few minutes and take them back to your companies with success. To my left, we have Scott. Scott Doyle is the AV manager at Swindon University of Technology. Give him a wave, Scott.
Hi, everybody.
We also have Deborah Jones, the AV IT sales manager for QEII and a member of our AV user group from the UK.
Hello. Hello, this is like blind date, isn't it? Good.
And we have Scott Leslie. He's the chief architect at Evident Corporation in the States. So thanks for being here, Scott. Each of them will speak briefly on what we think is a key part of developing a workforce today and what it really means to develop talent and sort of retain that talent as well. So the first thing, though, as I mentioned, is we have our foundation. So you're all here at ISE, and part of the sponsoring body is AVIXA. It's our trade association for the industry. We are here to help support your growth and bring you here as a hub of information and networking and so forth. We also have a charitable foundation that is really charged with a mission to develop the workforce for you and for our industry to the future. And so there's a few things I wanted to share briefly on why we're here, why we exist in the first place, and what we're doing to help you do that. And then my three colleagues here will give you those examples to hopefully set that home for you. It really starts with that commitment to serve our industry. We are a nonprofit, as I might have mentioned. We are a charitable foundation. It is attached to AVIXA, the trade association, so we really support the mission of the industry, if you put it that way. And so everything we do is to support the growth of our companies, to support the industry's market growth, and all the mission that we have at the association side. I wanted to share this with the viewers and the people in the room so that you can kind of get a sense of what we're trying to accomplish. So we believe that the AVIXA's foundation is really meant to provide access to that quality skills training that's maybe lacking that we notice in the industry right now. For people that maybe don't know AV exists as a career, we want to go out there and show them that this is a great, viable opportunity to make good money, have a challenging career, and really get started with their path. The other thing is we think that we're about delivering that connecting point to companies in the industry, whether that's through internship schemes, apprenticeships, giving scholarships so they can finish school, building those career pathways directly from institutions of higher education, whether it's second-level schools, secondary, 9th through 12th in the United States, wherever you are in the world, we're going for a certain audience to help build our workforce. And I think the last important way we're doing that is delivering those hands-on experiences, helping people be pre-qualified when they come work for you. So that's connecting them to companies who are interested in building internship schemes, going directly into the schools in their region and showing them that that's a great career path. And so really it's about developing that next generation of leaders. So look to the AVIXA Foundation, hopefully, when you have those needs and discuss what those might be. Like a lot of organizations, we have strategic mission, and I thought these was a great high-level way to show you how we're trying to do that. I just mentioned our mission statement here, but it's really career awareness, number one. We know that there is a lot of great jobs in this industry, and it's hard to fill them at the moment. We think a lot of that is because audiovisual careers are not really things that young people are aware of. So that's part of what we're trying to do, is build career collateral to share with member companies, to take out in the world, to share with students, for example, to show them that this is a great career option for them, that you can make good money, and it's always a great challenge, and you have a dynamic experience. Enabling that career development, as we said, is sort of that second pillar of our mission. How do we do that? We connect you two together. We bring those students to you in a way that makes it viable for them. And then we show that as the bridge. Maybe we bring them to an ISE trade show, which we'll be doing tomorrow. So maybe students from all over Europe will come here and they'll get to see all the things that these companies are doing to connect the dots for themselves, to say, I can really see myself in this industry. So therefore, we see a future for this industry. Our vision is such that AV is eventually recognized as a great career. So maybe students coming up in A-levels, students coming up in those secondary schools know already that this is a great career option. For you, as companies in the industry, that means there's a sufficient supply of qualified professionals, even initially, those first level trainees, they are coming into your companies. And we hope that we can help you do that. And as always, we're hoping that that means that there will be diversity enhanced globally in every sense of the word for our industry. So we have more women, we have more people of underserved populations around the globe, and that's one of our big goals. We hope that this is also very visually able to understand what we're talking about. So you'll see here that on the bottom of this introduction that the AVIXA Foundation we see as the sort of touch point to people who don't yet know about the industry. We bridge that awareness gap, we enable their growth, and then we connect them to AVIXA member companies, to CEDIA member companies, however that may be. You see there in the middle, that's the line. We think that then the transition happens, the handoff, when they join your company. They join the career. They get that standards training. They get education and certification through AVIXA. And that's why we see our relationship happening there. So we hope that that's understandable. And really one way we're doing that is by showcasing and connecting with partners in workforce development. So that's why we brought these folks up with us today, is to show you how we can connect those dots for companies all over the world. And so one way we're doing that, it potentially is making partnerships and relations with universities and second level schools all over the world. We're finding that they're really interested in AVIXA curriculum or industry training because it's a great connecting point to what they're already studying in their engineering program, for example, or maybe they're studying media, and we notice that that's obviously growing in our industry. And so we're trying to pinpoint some key pilots that we can run with schools all over the world. Think also NGO and nonprofit too. They're a great leveraging opportunity for us with a lot of different individuals who are seeking careers around the world, and so we're hoping to connect with them as well to bridge that opportunity gap. So, I'm done talking, I think. At least I'm going to connect with our folks here on stage and let them be the spokespeople for our industry. And so I think we'll start with Scott, who's going to speak on how all of his team just got CTS trained, so let's all give him a round of applause. Hey. But more so, I think the reason why he felt it was important and how his employees and how his staff and his colleagues have found it valuable on different levels of their career path. So if you wouldn't mind, Scott, sharing maybe about where you're from briefly and then how that experience worked out for you.
Thank you. So Scott Doyle from Swinburne University of Technology, which is in Melbourne, Australia. I also I'm the AV manager there, responsible for the whole AV services at the university. I also have a second hat. I'm a volunteer president of my association of my peers called the AETM, and represent all the other managers in Australia and New Zealand. So I've got two facets of the way I look at professional development. I look at trying to share professional development opportunities through my association for all the universities in Australia. But more importantly for myself at Swinburne was that to be able to build a better business case to provide an uplift of services of AV at my new university, there was many facets I had to put in there why I wanted to have an uplift. And one was about I needed to recruit more staff, but I had to recruit relevant staff as well. So when I took over the team, there was only a staff of 3. 2 of those staff were under 30 and one was over the age of 65. Wow. The gentleman over the age of 65 had been in the industry for 35, 40 years and never had his CTS. And part of my business case, which was approved by management, was to make sure that I had a basic level of certification for all my AV staff, including the gentleman who will be retiring in about 12 months' time. So he questioned why the value of him going to do it at that age, and I said, well, it's because it is a minimum requirement now for this role. And then during the years I recruited more staff, I sent off another 4 staff to be able to get CTS certified by Christmas. And because it was in my business case to start with, that I was easily able to get the extra funding to pay for the exams. And since then, we're getting the overall certification. I've found that the facilities management team and higher level parts of the IT management team are now coming back and looking at AV saying, all right, so you've all got now this minimal certification level. We'll now listen to you a little bit better, because I don't think they realised that the industry had something like this until the whole team was certified. And they'll go, oh, okay, you guys are serious. You're actually certified. You now know what you're doing. And it's like, well, we always knew what we were doing. We just didn't have the certification. So I find the CTS, while it is the minimum level of certification, is also it's an avenue for people who are already in the industry and don't quite know that in the AV industry, it's an awareness that they now, oh, I've done the CTS. There's 4 or 5 different career paths within AV now. And they didn't realise that before they started the CTS. So that's been the big outcomes for myself at Swinburne.
And so it sounds like you've had an interesting experience because you had individuals who were under 30 who obviously weren't aware from what it sounds like, what kind of thing that we were just mentioning, that awareness is key about the different roles you can have in the industry. And you had someone who'd been in the industry for so many years but didn't really know it.
Yep.
And so aside from even just certification, but what did you find was the value to them in taking some of that industry training in general?
Well, they're already starting to pass on some of that extra knowledge now to our, what effectively we call your desktop support team. So they're now providing AV training in-house. They're providing it differently because they now understand that there's a whole process from design to commissioning to handover, where before we were just commissioning and doing handover. We don't do any of our own installations, well, most universities in Australia don't. So they now realise there's that whole section and some of the reasons why we design solutions like we do. They're now passing that information onto the desktop support staff, who generally just saying, we don't like this room, it never works, but they don't understand why the room is built like that. So they've changed their focus in the way they talk to their other technicians.
Okay, so it helps them orient how they can maybe focus on their own career development in addition to how it helps the business and overall. That's fantastic. Thank you, Scott.
No problems.
So we think that certification obviously is very valuable. We feel that, as Scott has said, that it's great for one's development, I think, overall, but it showed that there are two different types of people in his position, in his office, and they both found value from that. I think what comes with that also is the value of mentoring in our business. And I think that's why we brought Deborah here. She's had such great experience with that. She's a member of many of our volunteer organizations, including our diversity and women's councils at AVIXA. And so I wanted to ask her sort of follow up on what Scott was saying. He sort of built that foundation there. And then when you have someone on board, what's the value of mentoring, and what does that bring to our industry?
I just think with CTS and the whole bedrock of it, it needs to come from the top. The signal that you need to send to staff is CTS is important. It's a level playing field. Once you've got that, you can. It doesn't matter, what colour you are, what race you are, what religion you are. Everybody starts on the same level, and the way you can do that, the way you can encourage your staff, and the way it can be from top down, it can go up, is through a mentoring scheme. AVIXA have had a mentoring scheme for a while, as well as the foundation, which, as Jez was saying, work together. But we don't get enough people using that, and so we've started a women's council that meets and talks about how we can encourage mentoring, starting within each organisation to begin with, and then trying to spread the word out to the other members. And CTS is part of that. The education is like the beginning of the programme, and then after that, it's not just about gaining CTS, you have to maintain it, you have to add training and layers on top of that. And that's where, again, AVIXA comes in with the additional training, with the seminar days, keeping people in touch. And we're in an incredibly dynamic and fast-moving environment. There's no way you can just stop and say, okay, we now have a career, it's going to be an audiovisual, I found it. You can't stop, you have to keep adding to that layer of training. And I think you can do that so much faster and so much more efficiently if you're part of a mentoring scheme. And the thing to do is to take that the information from AVIXA home and try and encourage your organisation to embed it within their thinking, within their AV departments, within HR, and have the buy-in of your management. The investment is like any kind of investment in people. The management can only benefit by having qualified staff. Everybody's in commerce. You're trying to sell to people quite often, either services or ideas or whatever framework you're in. You're selling an idea. You're trying to convince people. If you've got some kind of tool, like a qualification that's internationally recognised, you're off to a flying start immediately. You've already got that accreditation. And with a mentoring scheme on top of that, if you then have to supplement your staff, and we have trouble getting trained staff because of the lack of apprenticeships or whatever, then you can also transfer that kind of training to maybe your freelance force, maybe to the people that your consultancies use. You can partner with other people. It's a really flexible work tool. And as I say, we've been members of AVIXA for probably 10 years, since grass grew, a long, long time. And we know that foundation is really solid. So I think you should just get the message out, get it to the top, make sure that it goes down, make sure it comes back up, And then look at the regular training. I can't emphasize enough for a woman how important it is, because once you've got CTS qualified, you're one of the boys.
Thank you. And it seems that obviously certification is valuable, but it's only one part of that puzzle.
Yes.
A full mentoring initiative at any company would be, one could argue, the value of a retention tool is those that mentor are the ones that are essentially the ones who help retain good
Yes.
talent.
And there is a lack of apprenticeships in this field. There is a space to be filled there. And I think that it comes from AVIXA members. It comes from people who come to a show like this. And you can all play a part in that.
Absolutely. So one way she's saying is she's charging you all with going out and helping start an apprenticeship in your backyard. So that's what we just charged you with that.
Yeah, go forth and multiply.
And obviously a part of why we're here is to let you know that we have those tools to help you do that. Thank you for that, Deborah. Appreciate it. And I think Scott would be the ultimate connecting point here. He's representing a specific part of the industry in sort of product development, but we wanted to bring you on because you're working specifically even this week with a group from Le Mans Université, but maybe tell the story of why you think it's valuable to get in touch and what the students have gotten out of that connection to the industry directly from school.
Sure. Do you mind if I stand up? I don't feel comfortable presenting sitting down. How is our AV system? I hope it's working. Always question that.
Let's not block our colleagues. That's so.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me just do that. So, as Joe mentioned, my area of expertise and focus is in product development. And so I worked for a variety of manufacturers over the years, and attracting and acquiring and retaining talent was our single biggest challenge, and it has gotten more and more difficult over the years. There are so many careers available to technical young people today. People want to go into finance and banking. They want to go into manufacturing, distribution. They want to go, of course, to Google and Apple and go to the internet because that's sexy, right? So those people, those companies are attracting people that we want. So we have to fight back, right? And make AV a great thing. So I don't know if we have my slides here, Joe, a little bit. Talk just about the size of the opportunity a little bit today.
I think this is what we have.
We didn't get my slides
talk about
in?
Maybe the experience that you've developed with the school.
Okay. So
sure.
I'll try to remember my slides a little bit. But if you think about, let's do some numbers here. The pro audiovisual business is, in terms of product sales, growing to exceed $20 billion. Okay, so who's going to develop $20 billion worth of products? You can do some math and realize how many technical people we need. We need mechanical engineers, we need acoustic engineers, we need DSP engineers, software engineers, we need product managers, and there aren't enough to go around. So we need to work back. And when Joe asked me to participate, I'd say, by the way, Joe, I don't know if you know, I'm also, and he knows, I'm the chairman of product development for the Auto Engineering Society, another volunteer organization. Sure. Again, trying to build attraction to young people in our industry. And so we want to work with the universities, but we want to get the word out. This is a great business to be. Great business to be, right, guys? And by the way, let me ask you a question. How many see that this business is generational? There's a group of a bunch of really smart young people, and then what happens to them? They get old like us, right? And we have to replace that, another generation. So there's a generational change right now happening, I believe, not only in product development, but I believe in the consultant integrator side as well. You need to turn that over, and we need that we call it in the U.S. a farm team, baseball. It's where the next generation of players come from, so we need those. So you're seeing the same thing, right? And so it comes in waves, and we need to figure out how to get the demand for our business so we have a better supply. So I work with universities, in particular, anybody heard of Le Mans University in France? Okay, you've heard of it? Yes, yeah. Yes. So there's an electroacoustics master's program that was started by the founder of Nexo. It's a foundation, and every year they're graduating about 12 students who want a career in the audio business working for one of those companies out there. 12 students a year. We need about 1,200 students a year, so we're getting started. We have a long way to go. If you see me tomorrow walking around, I've got 8 students in tow. You'll see them walking around. We're gonna meet with some of the manufacturers. They're gonna show their ambitions. But as much as they're gonna learn about us, we're gonna learn about them. Why did they choose AV to go into, right? What do we need to do to grow that? because we cannot continue to develop these products, these great products, as the current generation starts to get older and retire. We need to replace that with fresh talent, with fresh ambition, new ideas, and people that, I don't even know where my phone is, I guess it doesn't matter, but if I was a young person, I wouldn't be able to survive without it, right? Does your product do this and this and this? Well, we need young people to do those types of things. So I'm so happy that Joe invited me. I hope we can really continue this, have twice as big a stage next year, do the same thing at InfoComm.
Yeah, we hope.
Right? And how many are going to sign up every time you're in a Starbucks or in a bar or on a subway to speak about the greatness of our industry? Yeah, come on.
Let's all raise our hands.
Yay. I say it all the time. I see young people and they say, what do you want to be? I say, well, I think I want to be a chef. Really? You could be in the AV business. Why are you being the chef? You can cook up some great audio, video in our side of the business. So we all need to promote this. A few of us here is not enough, right?
Yeah.
So we all need to promote. We have this foundation. Please find more about this foundation. Come to AES. Just keep pushing to get more and more people in. So,
thank you, Scott.
And I will say, by the way, so while we have nearly a $20 billion industry in pro, there's another 3 times that in the consumer side. So even if somebody comes to AV but ends up in the consumer side, it's still good. We can still steal them back. They got great talents. If we lose them to banking, it's going to be hard to get them, or to being a sous chef or whatever they become. We want them in our industry one way or the other.
Cool.
So
Thank you very much.
thank
Yeah.
you.
And I think that it's needless to say that AV people need chefs as more than anybody, right?
Yeah.
So we eat all that food. Thank you for connecting those dots for everybody. We appreciate you being here. I think what that then leads us to is how we can help you, or we hope that we can give those examples for you to take back with you today and wherever you are in the world viewing this. We feel that, as Scott has noted, one of the keys, even Scott's work at his institution, is developing those relationships with universities or high schools, whatever you may call them, the levels of working age people in your industry and in your regions. That's a great place to start. If you already know of a program that's even a parallel to what we do, and they might be able to connect something with what AV is already doing, great place to start. We're finding great success through AVIXA's foundation. Someone like Scott has gone out and sort of started on his own, either bringing students here and they're already getting a sense for this industry. And every time we do that, the more people will join us, we hope.
I just want to say
Sure.
about the banking thing.
A lot of AV people in
The
banks.
AV user group is full of obviously audiovisual specialists who are in banking as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So you've got JP Morgan, you've got Citigroup, they're all there anyway. So if they're interested in banking, just tell them to go to the AV side where you've got lots and lots of better
We
toys
can
to play
steal them
with.
from those
We can steal
companies.
you
Absolutely.
out there. There's masses of digital signage, and I met a bloke yesterday he appears to be running one of the global brands, one of the global hamburger brands, just through his digital signage product. When the queues form and something's too complicated to make, they've got an emergency button on their AV system that switches off that drink or that hamburger or whatever it is, and that affects their profit and loss. So he's designed the emergency button just so they can only they've got like a certain number of lives on it. Otherwise, the profit and loss will go up like this. They forget to put it back on and forget to sell that product. And I think he's managing the company with his software. And he's in AV and he's in food.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's a great tie into one way we can get involved with people who maybe see themselves differently as they're growing up in particular, and that's hosting apprenticeship schemes, internship schemes, getting them connecting the dots to a digital signage company, working at a university where they can get the value of both their studies, but also they can actually own their own training. They can fix the rooms in which they're studying, those kind of examples. Or bringing students to a trade show where they can see the different type of product manufacturers that they might, or who may work, or engineer.
I have a question for you, Joe. If our colleagues out here happen to run into some young people kind of looking for a career, can they send that person to you and say they're not too far from Amsterdam next year, and you can set them up with a pass so they
Quite
can come
possibly,
in?
yeah.
Okay, so promote our events so we have lots of these students coming in here go, maybe I do want to work here. This isn't so bad. This is kind of cool, right?
But I would take it a step further, and I would charge everyone to say, bring them with your company.
Yeah.
Let you be the rock star and show them that your company is part of all of this. That's a great way that they can do it as well.
Put your company's
If possible,
name on their
we are here
badge.
to help, yeah.
Good, good.
And I think, therefore, with the few minutes we have left, we'd like to share just a few more points that Another way we're finding that's valuable is we all know that pre-qualification is important for the people you're trying to hire. So they're going to need to know all this equipment, right? They're going to need to touch all of these things. So if you find an institution that might have that great connecting point to your company, or you think you might be able to pull some people out into the industry, if you have a lot of E-stock, for example, the end of the year, donate some equipment, get their hands on some of the newest technologies, because they take it to it like wildfire. So we're finding that.
And the clues in the name is audio-visual. So you are the eyes and the ears of whatever company, whatever sector you're in. So if you're in audio-visual, you can cross all those barriers. And you know, AVIXA isn't called AVIXA for nothing. It's an integrated experience, and
Absolutely.
that's what you're trying to explain. And it's all about the communication. That's what we are. We are the company's communication channel. And you can sell it to anybody like that.
Absolutely. And therefore, promoting that career is a part of what we're saying today. Is the foundation has developed tools and collateral that you can use throughout the industry. Let us know if you need some materials to talk about what it means to be in our workforce. We've had that. Talk to your colleagues in our different councils, like our diversity council, for example, our women's council, whatever you're part of here in Europe or wherever you live. There's a lot of peers in that network that can help and share stories like Scott and Deborah and Scott here could say, well, this is what we've done and what success we've had. So that's part of why we're here at ISE, is to reach out to our colleagues as well to make that story happen.
Can I make a tip on the
Go right ahead.
The sharing of the story?
Yeah.
It's really important to share your story and your journey of what you do. So one of my main goals, and it's probably the biggest tip, is that if I promote that I've got all my staff as CTS, it makes me an employer of choice. So next time I go out and I start recruiting, people are, I would like to go work for Swinburne because I know Scott and the Swinburne team will support my career development and for me to get my CTS. Mm-hmm. So I'll actually entice people who are comfortable in their roles at another university to apply for a job in mine. So I really find it, if you're back the CTS and then really promote what you do with the CTS in your organisation and how you support it, and it'll give you more recruits as well.
Yeah. Cross-global mentoring. And I think lastly, I wanted to just share some images to help evoke something inside. Hopefully it's more passion. This is the future of our industry in front of you. We're actually bringing several of these students tomorrow, so you'll see them walking around. One opportunity for them to see the industry. But this is how we're going to bridge that awareness gap. Going in grassroots, connecting with people, mentoring at the next level, going out and seeing these faces for yourself and really bringing them in, shadowing even for a day. They find it such a valuable opportunity to see what this industry offers. And so whatever we can to bridge that awareness gap is, I think, why we're all here today. Lastly, just a key thing, if you want some resources for yourself, the Foundation's put together a great site that you can find some collateral you can share. You can have that connecting point with a company, a peer of yours, whatever it may be, to talk about the industry to the next generation. You can use this information. If you have any questions about AVIXA's foundation, we also like to make that available. So it's avixa.org/foundation. It's pretty easy to remember. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We only have a few seconds left, so I'd like to give a round of applause to our guests for being here. And please reach out to them, because they obviously have some great experience with what we offer. So thank you very much for being here. We hope we've answered a few of the questions in your mind eye that you've had walking in here, and let us know if we can help you in the future. Thank you very much.